So every few years there are big shifts in the market. Sometimes, strategies in the marketing side change, sometimes there are new softwares. But most importantly, what business owners don't understand is the consumer psychology changes as well. And when I mean by consumer psychology, I mean the behavior of these consumers who are looking to purchase services, their behaviors actually change as well. So I'll put this into perspective. So there was a time when if you just ran ads, everything would be smooth, right? You didn't have to focus too much on content. You didn't need to have an email list. You didn't need to have a YouTube channel. You could focus on just Facebook or Instagram, and it would have worked amazing for you, right? Similarly, there was a time when you could have just invested in the SEO, and that organic search could actually, have you bring in a lot of good leads. There was a time you could have just cold call people, and simply cold calling them would have put you in a position that actually filled your pipeline with potential prospects. At the end of the day, what you did to execute, any of these strategies was you'd hire one expert who would know that particular thing. So you'd hire a performance marketer for ads, or maybe a content strategist for, let's say, YouTube content, right? But now the things have fundamentally changed. You need to bring in a generalist who understands how an omni-channel presence helps you shape up your business, in the digital space and actually stand out. Now, what I mean by generalist and an omni-channel presence is you need to understand your brand needs to exist on all of those platforms. Every platform, the positioning needs to be the same. The titles, keywords, branding, all of these different elements, the copy needs to be exactly the same, the contact information, the website, the links. And why I say this is because, like I said before, the market or the consumer behavior has evolved. The market has changed, the consumer behavior has changed. When people interact with your ad, they actually check out your profile. Now, when they go to your profile, the optimization of the profile is super important. It needs to look professional. Then, of course, they switch over into your content. Now, they're looking for different types of content. They're not only looking for like educational content, right? That means you're showing your authority in the market, that you know the subject and you know that service so well that it convinces them. That's not the case. They actually look at educational content, then they check for reviews. If you actually have reviews, then they might actually go check you on Google or other platforms like Trustpilot or Clutch, and see if you actually have your profile set up there. Do you have reviews? How are people talking about it? Where's your location? All of these different things. Then, of course, after they've done all of that, they might check out your YouTube channel. What kind of long form content are you posting? How's the editing with the videos? Is the message cohesive? Is every video saying the same thing? And, helping them understand that your business can actually transform their lives or solve the problem that they're currently facing, right? Which is why they are actually searching for purchasing this service. They want to make their lives easier. They have a problem, they know it, and they want to have it fixed. And of course, the most important, they check out your website or your company page. So after they've done all of this browsing, they finally go to your website, they see if it's professional. Again, all of the messaging needs to resonate, all of the copy needs to resonate with that buyer. So you see how previously the system was just run a set of ads and people would engage with it, go to your website and probably, book a call or something. Again, in the service industry. But now things have fundamentally shifted and they've changed. And if your system is outdated, that's why you're struggling to generate leads. Or even if you're able to generate leads, they're either ghosting you, or they're not replying back, or they're simply not converting because you never actually had a chance to close that deal. And that's a fact, and you need to accept that as a business owner, that hey, my system or my client acquisition system is outdated. I need to put in new frameworks. I need to understand how the market has evolved, what new strategies are taking place in the market, what new tactics are there, what new funnels are there, how are people, and because most importantly, you have to understand consumer psychology. If you understand how the buyer is thinking today, you will easily be able to translate that into your business's marketing and sales. Because at the end of the day, these three things, understanding consumer psychology, tailoring your marketing and sales accordingly, equals conversion. It's literally a very simple equation. There's nothing to it. You can add, of course, different things to help with marketing, to help with sales, to help with the execution, but the core consumer psychology, you need to really, really understand that. So this omni-channel presence, now how do you execute it, right? I mean, it's not like if you've chosen, let's say, 6 different social media platforms, you're producing 6 different videos. No, you make one video, like one, for example, long video, you publish it to YouTube, a small example, you cut it into, let's say, 5 different shorts or reels, you post it on Instagram, TikTok, You convert it into a text-based post, you post it on LinkedIn, on Twitter as a thread, and it's literally that simple. There's no complication in the execution part. A lot of people I speak with, they're just confusing, they're just overwhelmed. How do I do all of this? You really do not need to do all of this. You get one social media scheduling tool, okay, or you set up an automation, and what it does is you get that content, your editor just edits out all of these things, it throws it into that tool, and that tool is just publishing content every single day. So your effort is just in creating that one long video, and that's it. It's not that difficult. But what happens, the impact, what happens is you have an omni-channel presence. You're present on all the different mediums. So wherever that person might search for you, for example, I personally use Instagram to search businesses, but other people might actually use TikTok. So it's not like if they check your TikTok, they're also going to check your Instagram. No, because the content medium is exactly the same, which is short form content. So they might either search you on Instagram or they might either search you on TikTok. Either way, if the same content exists on both of these platforms, it creates the same impact, right? The profile is optimized in exactly the same way. The call to action, which is your website or maybe a booking page, is again exactly the same. So whether they search you on Instagram, whether Facebook, whether YouTube, LinkedIn, or TikTok, they're gonna land on the same page. The content is the same. So it's easy to execute all of this, but you need to understand how that buyer enters your funnel or your ecosystem and how they interact with all of these different pieces. So, different types of contents, different kinds of videos, all of these different things. So that helps you position your that helps you understand where you need to concentrate your time and effort, how long the sales cycle might be, how many things you actually need to focus on, instead of just thinking, if I just invest in ads, I'm good to go. If I just invest in my website, I'm good to go. If I just invest in, let's say, SEO, I'm good to go. It's not like that. There was a time where that was a good strategy, but it's not. You really need to address all of these things, all of these different elements, and create a cohesive brand ecosystem where once that customer actually enters, they're interacting with all of these different elements. So you're not only nurturing them, that you're keeping them alive within that ecosystem. So even if they're not ready to buy today, because see, not all buyers are ready, but even if they're in the research phase, they will still be constantly interacting with your ecosystem with all of those different elements. So if they want to purchase after 1 month or 2 months, they know exactly where they need to come back to, right? Because if they're following you on socials, they're going to see your new content every single day. If they watch one set of ads, you can retarget them with another set of ads. If they subscribe to, let's say, an email list, you can send them nurturing emails as well. So now, because they're part of your ecosystem, you keep them inside, with nurturing content. So when they're ready to buy, they won't have any other option because they'd be so convinced by that time that they'd happily come back and, make that purchase from you. It's not an e-commerce business, right? It's not a $50, $100, or a $200 sale. It's a high ticket sale. So the fact is, you don't need 1,000 or 10,000 customers. You need a very small, customer base, but they're high paying. They're relevant, they're qualified, they stick with you because your service is so good. So understand that when you have this entire brand ecosystem, these things have a compounding effect. So consumer psychology, like I said, plays a huge and massive role in shaping your business's marketing strategy and sales strategy. And an omni-channel presence kind of just seals the deal and brings everything come together. Now, look, if you want a more hands-on approach to understanding how to set this up, I do all of these audits with business owners almost every day. We go through a different set of exercises, narrow down exactly where the problem is, where you need to concentrate more effort on, where you need to concentrate spending money on. Do we need to hire resources or not? Which softwares do we need to use? Which tools do we need to purchase? And we paint this picture on paper every time, because understanding how your consumer behaves, how they enter your funnel, how long it takes, all of these different things translate into predictability, and that predictability eventually turns into a consistent pipeline full of high quality leads, right? So that this transition from predictability to consistency in pipeline now sets your business up in a much stronger position, because then you're able to focus on those high quality leads that have actually come in through that entire system, and they're relatively easier to close. And because your service is already good, they're not going to go anywhere. So you've got that part covered, but the rest of it, of course, we cover in those audits.